Okay, hi girls. I know I promised to make this video a long time ago, like a week ago. So I'm finally going to explain the last topic that we saw. I know we already checked this topic. I don't remember when it was, but I already explained it to you and everything. But I promised to upload a video with the explanation for some of you that couldn't log in. And in case that you want to hear the explanation again. So we're going to, the presentation is already in Schoology. So if you want to, you can check it anytime. So I'm going to start now. Okay, so here we have the presentation. This one is already in Schoology. So if you want to, you can check it anytime. Topic is lending a hand. Here, lending a hand is not like I'm taking out my hand and giving it to you. It's actually helping someone, okay? So we're going to talk about favors, how to ask for a favor, and how to reply to one favor. So some examples could be babysitting someone's kids, watching someone's stuff, lending something to someone, can be anything. So here are some examples. And finally, how to ask for a favor. So we have several different options depending on if we're talking to someone we're close to or not. So we're going to use the less formal ones in case we're close friends or family, and if the favor is a small one, like something really simple. Can I borrow your truck? That's not really simple, but it may be for a really close friend. Or could you lend me your pencil? That's a really simple one. So remember, the first ones, can and could, are the most used ones, but they're less formal. So we're not going to use them all the time. We're going to use them only with close friend or with in easy situations, easy favors, or with close people like friends, family, or I don't know, your boyfriend, girlfriend. It can be anything. So remember, if we have a connection with that person, we're going to use the less formal ones, or if it's a really simple favor. But it's not okay to use this can and could with people that you're not close to, or if it's a really important favor. So if in those cases, we're going to use the more formal ones. So if you're talking to your boss, if you're talking to a stranger, someone that you have never talked to, if you're talking to a teacher that you know is a strict one, then you're not going to use the less formal ones. You're going to try to make it formal. I was wondering if, for example, if you want your teacher to give you more time to do the homework, then you can maybe ask, I was wondering if I could have more time to do my homework. So that's a really formal situation, and that's a really important favor. So you want to make it as formal as possible, okay? So remember to try to use all of these options, and not only can and could, they are the most common ones, but try to use all of them, especially if you're ever going to take an English exam. For the writing part, most English exams have a writing part. So for the writing part, try to use the more formal ones because it proves that you have an ample vocabulary, that you know many words. The main difference between a B2 and a C2 person is the vocabulary. So please try to make it as rich as possible. Okay? Now, the structure for each sentence is going to depend on some specific things. For example, if we have modal verbs like can and could, we're going to have the main verb. The main verb is going to be the verb that is actually showing the action in its base form. So we're not going to change it into the simple past. We're not going to change it into the simple present. It's going to stay in the base form. So for example, can you pass me the paper? Could she eat your cake? Here, for example, usually when we have he, she, or it, the main verb will be ending with an S. But for example, here when we have a modal verb, the main verb is going to stay the same in its base form. So could she eat your cake? I was wondering if we could visit your house. So here in all these examples, we have the main verb in its base form. So that's really important. Please try to remember that. Then if we have if clauses, the main verb is going to be changing. Depending on if it's only the if clause, it's going to be in simple present. But if we include would, then it's going to be in simple past. So for example, is it okay if you pass me that paper? Do you mind if she eats your cake? Here, for example, if it's simple present and it's the third person, so third person singular, she. So we're going to add an S at the end of the verb, eats. So do you mind if she eats your cake? And the last one, would it be all right if we visited your house? So here we're going to use simple past if we have would, and simple present if it's only the if clause. Okay, try to remember that. And finally, when we have gerunds, remember a gerund is ing, verb in ing. So the verb is going to end in ing, and also the pronoun may change. So for example, do you mind passing me that paper? Would you mind her eating your cake? Here, we're not going to use she. Would you mind she eating your cake? That's wrong. So we're going to use her. That's why I included the English pronouns, the little table that you see here. And do you mind us visiting your house? Here, a short explanation for this one. Most of the time, you're supposed to use the possessive form, well, the possessive adjective form of the pronouns. But sometimes it doesn't sound that right. So you can also use the objective form. And it's also really common to use it. But remember, the possessive one is the one that is more formal, that is more appropriate to use. I included some links to several videos that you can check, so please try to check them. And here's an example about this. So all these sentences are correct and have the same meaning, but it depends on if it's formal, less formal, or more. So that's the only difference. Do you mind if I smoke? That's a normal one. Do you mind me smoking? Here we're using the object form of the pronoun, and it's informal. And do you mind my smoking? This one sounds a little bit strange, but it's actually the more formal one. So if you want to sound really formal, or if you would prefer to do it as correct as possible, try to use the possessive adjective form of the pronoun, okay? And either way, replying yes or no. And now how to reply to these favors. Either if you're going to accept or decline this request. So if you're going to accept, you can just say, oh yeah, sure, no problem, that's okay, I'll be glad to, fine. Can be anything. So when you accept a favor, it's a really short answer. If you want to make it longer, that's fine. Just a simple yes is okay. The problem is when you decline the favor. Usually when you decline the favor, you're not going to say, oh, no, that's really rude. Well, you can say it, but it's rude. So when you decline a favor, try to make an explanation as to why you are declining this favor. So it's considered rude not to give an explanation. Even if it's just an excuse, it's considered better to explain why. And of course, the explanation has to be related to the favor that the person is asking. So for example, I was wondering if I could borrow your sleeping bag. Sorry, but I lent my sleeping bag to my brother. So here, for example, the person can't lend the sleeping bag because someone else already has the sleeping bag. So that's the short explanation. She's declining, but she's actually explaining why. So you can really get mad. And it's not considered rude. And here we have an example. So here it's a situation. You want to use your sister's car on Saturday, and we're going to use all the options that we have with the same situation, okay? So here, for example, can I use your car on Saturday? Here, if you notice, the verb is in the base form. Could I use your car on Saturday? Exactly the same because both are modal verbs. Remember, can and could are modal verbs. Is it okay if I use your car on Saturday? Here, because we have it, the pronoun is I. The verb is not going to change, but this one is actually in simple present, not in the base form. Do you mind if I use your car on Saturday? The same here. The verb is in simple present. So for example, if we have she, he, or it, then the verb will have to end with an S. Remember that. And would it be all right if I used your car on Saturday? Because we're using would, the verb is going to be in simple past. Remember that. Would you mind if I used your car on Saturday? The same. And would you mind my using your car on Saturday? Remember here when we have gerunds, the pronoun is going to be in the, well, preferably we are going to use it in the adjective, in the possessive form. So we can also use the object form. Would you mind me using your car on Saturday? That's normal, but it's not formal. It's not formal English. So please try to use the possessive one. Would you mind my using your car on Saturday? And the last one, I was wondering if I could use your car on Saturday. Here we can, because we have could, that is a modal verb, the main verb is going to stay in the base form, okay? So here's an example for all these different types that we're going to see with the same situation. And the reply, sure, that's fine if you're going to accept their favor, or if you're going to decline it, I'd like to, but I'm going to need it. I'd like to, but it's not working. I'd like to, but I don't know, it could be another reason or another explanation. So here's an example. This one is something similar to what it's going to be in the exam. I'm going to give you a situation and you are going to use I'm going to write inside the parentheses which one you have to use, can, could, is it okay if. Like exercise activity 7, it's going to be really similar and it's going to be in the exam too. So please try to practice this one. So I'm going to give you the situation and you're going to write the request, okay? And activity number 8 is a listening activity. You're going to listen to some conversations. You're going to write the request and you're going to choose between some options if the person accepted the request or declined it and why, okay? If you have any questions, please do ask me. If not, I'm going to think everything's clear, okay? Now let me show you an exercise. Here, not this one, here. Okay, so here we have some examples, some short conversations, and we're going to choose how to complete each of them and why the other ones are not. Oh, that's the answer. Please ignore that one. And why they're not correct. Okay, so for number 1, we have 3 options. Is it okay if, would, or do you mind? I use your cell phone. So here, the correct one will be, is it okay if I use your cell phone? Why? Because the other ones are not complete. Would I use your cell phone? That's not really a complete request. And do you mind I use your cell phone? You're missing the if. So it could be, do you mind if I use your cell phone? That will be correct, but we don't have if, so that's incorrect. The correct answer will be, is it okay if I use your cell phone? Mine just died. No problem, but can you keep it short? I'm expecting an important phone call. So here, yes. Okay. Number 2, would you mind if I stayed at your place for the weekend? Remember when we have would, we're going to use the simple past form of the verb. So, would you mind if I stayed at your place for the weekend? Not at all. I'll be fun. It will be fun to have you stay with us, and that's it. Number 3, I was wondering if. Oh, I was about to say the answer. I was wondering. Then we have 3 options: I could, if I could, or if I would. The correct one will be, I was wondering if I could borrow your car tomorrow. So that's the correct one. Sure, that's fine, just be careful. I have only had it for a couple of months. And it's the same for the other ones. So that's it for the explanation. If you have any questions, please do ask me. You all have my cell phone number, and you can just send me a message, or on Tuesday we're going to have a class. So if you have any questions about this or the activities, you can ask me then. Okay? See you.